And kicking off the meeting is going to be Rebecca Roberts, our chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just before we begin our annual members meeting this afternoon, I'd like to, of course, respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which, particularly from that I have broadcast from this afternoon, which is the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And they've cared for our land for thousands of years. We're grateful for their wisdom, their knowledge, and their ongoing custodianship. And we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you for all being here to listen to what ABIC has been up to over the last 12 months and moving into next year. I guess as chair, I sort of really see my role as enhancing the processes that add value and help our reputation for long-term success and continuity, because we're kind of through those first couple of years now and through lots of major hurdles. So we've been really focusing about the future. And myself, I'll continue to do what I do every day to foster processes that add that value, and that's really all about teamwork, so that we can deliver a very high performing board that are attuned to the ongoing needs of the community, and they're supportive and responsive, so that as an industry we're understood. And that sometimes it's about having robust conversations that can be challenging. Sometimes it's about being engaging and just bringing our professionalism to new heights. So thank you to each and every one of our members. It's tremendously satisfying to be able to make some changes that are progressive for our industry. And a sincere thanks to our team. Our structure at ABIC is, of course, we have the wonderful Stephanie Miller, that you all know and see regularly, very much the face of ABIC. And Stephanie is our director as well as our CEO. Myself and Matt Williams form the directors of the business. Matt, thank you for everything you do as vice chair. We have incredible Gail Dubé, who's been with us for a number of years as in facilitation and managing that role. And Danielle Cavalia in operations. And both Danielle and Gail have been with ABIC for a number of years, which really helps to give you value in understanding what we're doing. And to our volunteer counsellors, I get to see firsthand what you all do for the industry, your contributions, your willingness to identify and take on change, and what's needed to future-proof our industry, and your dedication that you uphold to, helping bring ABIC into the future, and to problem solve and to give, every counsellor has expertise in different segments. So shout outs and thank you to Maria Coccioloni, Rebecca Miller, Helen Golisano, Linda Sim, Nikki Cisnes, Karen Maring de Gonzalez. You're all volunteer your time so generously, and your care and your passion does not go unnoticed, and certainly we couldn't do it without yourselves. So over to Matt, because we really value our members, and Matt's going to give you some little rundown on what the membership portfolio is currently looking like.
Well, before we do, sorry, we were supposed to play a little video, but I couldn't play it while you were talking. And
I know, I was
trying
really
hard
what we were doing there.
Karen put together such a cute little video, so let's
Have
try
we got it?
this one. Yeah, I think so. Can you all see this?
So there's some times that we've had at previous catch-ups where we've all come together to discuss where our focus needs to be and what we need to do. So thank you.
Yeah. And there was then this other one as well. A cute
Okay.
little snapshot of what we've done over the year. Let me share this. Okay. Bear with me for a little sec. I can only play one thing at a time for some reason. I'm not sure if you can see this. Can you actually hear it?
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thought that was really cute.
Yeah, makes me very proud.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you,
Over
Karen.
to you, Matt. Membership update.
Thanks, Reka. When you said before, over to Matt, because, and then you hesitated, and I'm looking at all the faces, and I'm thinking, because we need a token male to say something. I know my place.
It's all about growing the male representation in that industry, Matt.
That's it. That's it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Firstly, I appreciate you all getting on today. Like Steph said, it is challenging sometimes on a Tuesday afternoon. But quick membership overview. Before I get into the numbers, which are on the screen in front of you, yeah, 3 years. It feels like only yesterday, but also feels like we've been around forever, which is kind of a nice feeling to have. But ABIC was really born out of COVID with a real need for our industry to have representation, education, support, and then I would also add elevation. There were times during COVID where people were like, well, does anyone know how this JobKeeper works? What do I do? Like, what am I allowed to do? Am I allowed to reopen? And I do recall being on a call with some prominent politicians, with Steph and Reka at the time, and we were just shocked that our industry was referred to as beauty parlors. And we were lobbed in a category with massage parlors, which was lovely. And we had to educate some politicians on understanding our industry. So that's where the representation piece really came in. And there's been so much work that has been done. So when I look at these numbers, I'm really stoked that the community has 25,000 people. That really is a strong representation. The piece that I want to stress to everyone here is that with 25,000 people in our community aware of us and following us on Facebook and on our database, the remaining numbers here should be far greater. And we'll get into the things that we're doing. We are a sustainable organization with the current membership numbers we have. And by the way, when I've looked at prior organizations that have started and failed in this industry, and also other associations and organizations and not-for-profits in other industries, but similar to ours, it's astounding how much progress that we've made in the last 3 years. And yes, I attribute that to the council members. Reiki, you gave me a lovely compliment, but you do far more than I do. But to Steph and to Steph, your team, it's extraordinary how much you guys do on the smell of an oily rag, if that metaphor works. And it's extraordinary what we have achieved. There's plenty more that we want to do, but we do need more members to do that. But like I said, with 532 professional members, with 202 clinic HR members, so they're clinics that can avail themselves of all of our HR support, which I think is critical. By the way, that's the number that should be over 1,000, because it is a minefield managing your business with, you hear it on the news, wage theft. It's like, well, sometimes it's not wage theft. Sometimes it's just not being able to keep up with awards and our HR memberships can solve all of that for any business. So that number should be 10 times. But clinic management memberships 78, student members 220. They are our future right there. And then partner members, we've got 44. So as I said earlier, those numbers do make us a sustainable organization, which is great. But we do need those numbers to grow in order for us to do all the good that we want to do. And as it also says, we are the only umbrella organization that really represents everyone, not just medical aesthetic, not just dermal, but beauty therapy and beauty services as well. And I think at this stage, Steph, we are clearly one of the biggest not-for-profits, certainly in our industry. But again, I'll reiterate the progress that we've made in 3 years. We should all be proud of, because I know you're all out there waving the flag for us. So that's our membership update.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt. And I just love to echo what you said as well in terms of our growth has been phenomenal. Like, we're looking at associations that have been around for 15 years having maybe not in our industry, because I don't think anyone in our industry does have up to 1,000 members, but in other industries having, you know, maybe between 1,000 and 2,000 members. So we have made great progress, but the amount of change that needs to be made will only be made when we come with significant numbers to the table, because we are competing with the likes of retail, which have, you know, 10,000 plus members for the ears of government. So thank you so much for that, Matt. Off to, I suppose, I'll take over from here. Just ear to the ground type stuff. ABIC is kind of like an ear for everybody. We get phone calls all the time from suppliers. We get phone calls from clinic owners, professionals in the industry, students, and we talk and discuss the problems that they're experiencing. Overall, there are some challenges in the industry. Mainly at the moment, there are economic challenges. The phone calls and the feedback that I take are from suppliers and practitioners. I keep hearing this number, 25% down, 30% down. I'm hearing these things over and over again, and it seems to be a consensus within both from not all suppliers, but it's a consensus from, you know, from suppliers right down to practitioners and clinics, that's roughly the numbers that I'm hearing in terms of, you know, reduction in revenue and things like that. There are things that people are doing to try to overcome these revenue challenges, and, you know, streamlining and cutting costs and adapting is a good way to do it. Those that I think that are what stands out as those that are continuing to be successful are those that keep putting money into their marketing funds, that keep putting money into their communications. Those businesses are tending to hold steady or do a little bit better even, because everybody else is tending to pull back. So if you're thinking about pulling back, maybe diverging funds from one to another, it could be a good idea. Is it okay if I ask everyone to please pop themselves on mute? That would be wonderful. Just getting a bit of feedback. Whoops, back to the challenges. So we've seen this year some clinic closures, some beauty salon closures and so forth, and some insolvencies. They have definitely risen this year, but likewise we've seen a huge uptick in the number of sole practitioners and home clinics and salons, which are, believe it or not, getting quite sophisticated in the way that they're operating from home. So I feel that there has been a little bit of a shift in our industry from big mega type clinics with, you know, 6+ rooms to the smaller condensed sort of 2 to 3 rooms, or even people operating from home. So where something closes, something changes as well. And I think our industry is heading towards that area as well. We are seeing so much tightening of regulation and legislation. We're looking at a focused approach on our industry starting from the medical aesthetic sector, but now we're starting to see it trickle down into every other sector, including dermal and beauty. We are hearing of, you know, interest in the modality area, cosmeceutical area. I'll talk a little bit about the studies that are going to be informing legislation and regulation a little bit later on that we're participating in. But there is definitely a trickle through down through the sectors, and we will be seeing in the next couple of years a lot of changes, as we've seen the ANSCO review as the first step. So changing our occupations, changing our education, and regulation will soon follow. That is definitely a surety. One thing that we've also noticed is that we need to, there was a period early in the year where there's a lot of negativity in the industry. I think that's getting a little bit better, which is great because we're putting in a strong positive message about positivity, but I think we need to just be the leaders in our industry to advocate for positivity and to support each other really, but also the people doing a lot of work behind the scenes for the industry. You may agree or you may not disagree, but you can have a voice being part of an organization. It doesn't have to be just ABIC, but being a part of a voice is what is going to get us heard and get changes that are suitable for our industry. And I think we need to keep fostering unity between the sectors. We've had some really great collaborations with the Dermal Clinician Society and a few others, even working on, you know, some groups through SAXA, which I'm getting to hear from, you know, the likes of Harbour and so forth, and that have wonderful and interesting feedback about the industry. So it's just a matter of getting together and making our voices heard to help the industry. Being on the topic of state of the industry, we announced probably at our foundation and supplier member meeting earlier in the year that we are putting together a state of the industry survey, a national survey, unlike any other, and we have been busy in the background putting together the framework for this. Basically, our industry continues to grow. It's evolving all the time. We don't have great statistics about our industry. Really, I suppose, tangible information that informs our decisions going forward. After the ANSCO review, we will have more accurate data about the occupations in our industry. If the ABS gets our occupation classification correct, we're going to know the exact numbers of each sector of our industry and each profession in our industry. But in terms of gathering valuable insights, experiences, and aspirations of our community, we don't have something that's yearly or 5-yearly that we can contribute to. So we are creating this survey. We would love you to get involved in this. The way that we need that is we actually need you to send your suggestions for questions, for information that you'd like us to collate, to put inside this framework, inside this survey, so that we can create a survey that will inform all of us. So if you're a supplier, what do you want to know? If you're a clinic owner, what do you want to know? Let us put this in the survey for you so that we can give you the answers that will really help to inform your decisions going forward for the industry. So let's move on to industry representation. We've got an awesome guest speaker today because the first thing I want to talk about is education reform. We're doing huge things in this area, and mainly thanks to an incredible organization called SAXA. Basically, right now, there's lots of change. I was talking about the ABS ANSCO codes review, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but there's a large-scale education and vet reform going on where I haven't seen something like this done properly in decades and decades. So now's the time for change. You've actually got a chance to share your insights, your wisdom, and what you think the trajectory of the industry should be to help shape the future of our industry. So with that, I'd like to introduce a wonderful guest who's Kate Henderson from SAXA. She's the new stakeholder engagement manager for personal services. And she'd like to say a few words on SAXA and the relationship with ABIC. So are you there, Kate?
Yes, thank you so much, Stephanie. I hope you guys can hear me. Please let me know if you can't, because I do have a headset on, and I was doing a call earlier and it was a little bit hard to hear, but keep letting me know if there's any issues. But yeah, thank you so much for having me along to the meeting today. It's really exciting and encouraging and great to see such a strong industry body representing your industry. It's very important that you have that. And, you know, I have been a member of industry bodies, and I'm a member myself in the hair industry, so I understand the importance of this and the shared voice that you can have, and the changes that you can make it together, you know, the difference it will make to your industry. So I am a strategic work Stephanie is part of a strategic workforce advisory group with SACSA, and she plays a very important part there in shaping the work that we're doing and providing feedback on the work that we're doing. And essentially, I'll give you a little bit of an overview for those who don't know much about SACSA. Government and is very good with acronyms. So SACSA actually stands for Service and Creative Skills Australia. And what we're doing is we're working collaboratively with ABIC in particular, and regarding initiatives within the beauty and aesthetic sectors. So our mission is to address workforce development needs across personal and creative service industries, which includes the beauty industry. We're engaging closely with stakeholders like yourselves, members of ABIC, and obviously Stephanie has a very strong voice for industries and through ABIC. So that is a very important part of that advisory group and that stakeholder engagement. What we're doing is we're looking at training, and we're looking to make sure that training is right for the evolving needs of the industries that we're looking after. So myself, personal services encompass beauty, hairdressing, floristry, and funeral services as well. So a little bit of a diverse group, but very, very important industries. So we identify skills gaps, and that's with industry help, with you providing that feedback via ABIC. We can identify those skill gaps and training needs to implement workforce planning projects. And the idea is that we're able to design and build sustainable skilled pathways in these industries. So very, very much engaged with your group, and it's very important that you do provide that feedback to Stephanie, obviously through those surveys, getting involved with those activities. And we're hoping to do a workshop with you guys as well to really sort of address some key priorities in the beauty sector, which we're focusing on as one of our key priorities coming up, which is really important. What else? Lots and lots of things are going on. So one of the projects which was before my time, but with Stephanie's assistance, was going and looking at those ANSCO codes and advocating for the recognition of specialized roles like dermal therapists and beauticians. So this is really important. We have submitted that recommendation, and in fact they are actually reviewing those at the moment, and yeah, we're hoping for a very good result, but we have had a very strong voice advocating for those changes that have been recommended by ABIC. So we're working on that, and we're hoping for some good news. One of the major projects that we're working on is a workforce shortage analysis. So we're looking at beauty therapists and shortages, beauty therapists, dermal therapists, and laser technicians, but we really want to see what's driving those gaps, what the skill gaps are, what the training gaps are, how we can make these career pathways more attractive. So we're going to be coming to you, and how SACSA works, which is fantastic, is that it's very much engaging with industry, so engaging with you. It's very much looking at the existing training pathways that are there, as well as the formal training like the Certificate 3, but also looking at other accredited training that's out there, and really sort of, I guess, having a blank sheet of paper and going, okay, what can we do for the future? And as Stephanie was saying, the industry is going a little bit more into that, I guess, smaller practice, less big clinics, the traditional model of an apprenticeship perhaps is a little bit challenged in those sort of environments. So we've really got to think about the future and how we make sure that we have a really strong, professional, skilled workforce for the future. So we will be working with you guys very closely to ensure that the recommendations that you're making are what is being put forward. So it's a consultation process, and Stephanie and the other members of the Strategic Workforce Advisory Group are involved in that in every step of the way. So we'll be working on recommendations, workforce plans, projects, and we will be changing training for your industry for the future. So it's a big project. It's very exciting. It's something that we take very, very seriously. We do feel very strong in our responsibility to your industry. And we won't be making any changes without a lot of consultation. So you can be 100% assured that your voices will be listened to. Please engage as much as you can with ABIC, and please, pass on feedback. We're very, very keen to get you guys involved as much as you want to be.
Thank you so much, Kate. That was brilliant, and definitely highlights the need to have your voice heard and to collaborate with SACSA and ABIC as well as a conduit for that feedback and insights. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to continue on with the education chat to give you all a little bit of an insight as to what we are actually doing with SWAG and what we've done so far. Just a little brief update here. So we started working with them in 2023 when they actually became, a group that they were chosen to be the group, which was wonderful. And workforce planning actually will continue. It's not a short project. It's going to be quite a bit of a long endeavor, and will continue on to 2025 and I would say beyond. As Kate said, what we need from you is feedback at various times. And we do that through getting your feedback directly, but we also do that through our education committee, which I'll tell you about very shortly. But SACSA are looking at reviewing training products, pathways, skills shortages, like why is it that we have a shortage in our industry? What are the key drivers? At the moment, the last meeting we had, which was incredibly insightful, was all about the drivers of shortages for hair and beauty. And they're really wanting to understand that right now. So the next focus of our education committee, or the very first one, because our inaugural meeting is actually in November, we are going to be looking over the draft proposal. I've put together a draft proposal, which is just a starting point for this, and we can actually add to it, discuss it, change it, and then modify it for submission to SACSA as well. They have shared their timeline with us. So, look, the reason that I share that with everyone is because I want everyone to know that this is not a short project. It is going on into 2025 and beyond. So when people ask me all the time, oh, why hasn't it changed yet? Or, oh, we've done nothing yet. And I'm like, well, it takes time. There's a lot of things to do, and to get it right, we really need to spend that time to work through all the processes, and they do take sometimes some years to do. But once we get it right, we've got the correct framework to move forward. We've got the right foundation to move forward. That's wonderful. So right now, what SACSA would like from us is to explore the drivers of those shortages, and that is including beauty workforce. They're doing it for all personal services, but for us, it's beauty therapists in particular, all the related ones like laser, tattoo, and so forth, tattoo artists and so forth. And we're going to do this by literally getting together. I'll just fast forward here so I can show you. I think there's a missing slide. Getting together at our education committee, looking at the proposal and dissecting it, and then getting feedback The other way we can do it is participating in that industry survey, state of the industry survey, because the questions that we're going to come up with, partly in the education sector, through the Education Committee, are going to inform SACSA and also other government bodies about our education needs as well. Or if you're not keen on being a part of any of the committees, you can always send your feedback directly to me, Steph Miller at the ABIC, and we and my team will disseminate that information and put it in a proposal to the Education Committee and to SACSA as well. And of course, if you're not already a member, please join ABIC, because that's how you have your voice to government. So Education Committee is meeting on Wednesday, the 20th of November. It's a 2-hour meeting. It is our very first meeting, so it's our inaugural meeting from 4:30 till 6:30. So we are actually not just looking at the vet sector. We are looking at education in this Education Committee for our industry as a whole, every sector, and how the education pathways all communicate and intersect with each other. So we're looking at right from beauty services all the way to medical aesthetics. If you want a career in our industry and career progression, how do we get you there through hopefully series of RPLs or micro credentials or pathways that join up between each qualification, because right now it is a little bit disjointed. We have so many calls now asking about career advice. How do I get from here, I'm a beauty therapist, to becoming a cosmetic nurse? Do I have to go through all of those, 3 years to become a dermal clinician and 3 years to become a cosmetic nurse as well? If I want to do it all, how do I do it? And there are different pathways, but there's not a clear one that is expedient in any way or really takes into consideration feedback other than RPL, which isn't always offered. So please do get involved in that Education Committee, help us to shape the future of our industry together. Okay, so that's it on education. Moving on to, actually, one more thing on education. If you're wondering whether you're qualified to be on this, you absolutely are. If you're an industry stakeholder, we need you, because we need all sorts of people on this committee. We need business owners, students, education providers. If you're a teacher, if you are a supplier or a clinic owner, anybody that's in our industry, that if you've got valuable insights you want to share or you want to help us, shape that direction, please apply. You can go to the website. There's a direct link. Let me try and share that with you. I'll share it in the chat actually at the end. But if you go to the abic.org.au and you click on the side menu Education Committee, there's an actual application form there you can quickly fill out, and that will go straight to our team and we'll process your application. As I said, we need as many people as we can, and we have been open since July, so we do have a few people on our Education Committee, but I think we need several more. Okay, now let's move on to some other initiatives in our industry. So we're looking at skilled migration. Earlier this year, a few months ago, we sat on with the Department of Home Affairs, and we listened to and contributed to the changes that were happening to the migrant workers' visas. So there have been some changes there. If you are interested or do employ or do want to be part of this scheme, we have had a threshold increase from $70,000 to $73,000 for what you're going to have to pay them. And there are new fines and restrictions actually imposed on employers for the exploitation of migrant workers that you really need to be aware of. Some tricky little guidelines here and there and requirements. So you might want to, if you're interested in that or if you are participating in that scheme, to have a look at the changes or reach out to us and we can guide you in the right direction there. But one thing is clear, we are not doing enough in the skill migration section. So we do have some council members who are very, very keen to head up this area and really take it under their wings. I know that Helen Golisano has a special interest in this. So we're thinking about putting together some kind of advisory or working group. We're looking to explore the need for the advisory or working group because it is a complicated issue that probably takes a little bit more time than you think to advocate for skill migration to get us on the correctly on the migration list for every occupation that we need it for. Because right now I think we're only on for salon manager, salon assistant. So manager, yeah. So we're seeking industry feedback on the creation and establishment of this group. Do you think it's needed? Are you interested in being part of it? And do you have any feedback on it that we can get, or recommendations? If you do, please send me an email to stephmiller@theabic.org.au, and I'll be speaking to Helen to sort of pan out this idea and see what we can do in this area as well. We are busy all the time advocating for small business. If you were part of our supplier and foundation member meeting earlier this year, you will know that we actually advocate for small business through many channels, but a lot of them through our COSBOA association, so the Council of Small Businesses of Australia. But we meet with lots and lots of, or hear from as well, lots of ministers and senators and politicians, and we get to give our feedback through this incredibly wonderful partnership that we have with COSBOA as well. But we also go and have, occasionally in-person meetings. Like earlier this year, I went to Canberra to meet with us at the office of Senator David Pocock. And then all the feedback that comes to us is we don't hear much from the beauty and aesthetic industry. We just don't hear anything really from business owners. They're very quiet. We hear a lot from retail. We hear a lot from builders. We hear a huge amount from the building side of the association, retail, and also, we would hear from industries like, professional industries such as accountants and so forth, but they also hear from, myotherapy associations and gyms and so forth. Everyone's kind of really loud and sticking up for their rights. And I think we need to get louder. And that's what the message is always: get louder, communicate, share your stories, go public, be a part of the association, and really head and lead your own industry. So that's the message that's coming loud and clear. Lots of feedback about, small businesses failing to turn a profit. 43% of small businesses at the moment failing to return a profit. 75% of business owners paying themselves less than the average wage. I mean, these are the things that we're hearing about. But we really, really need a way to protect our small businesses, because ever since I've been, and I know the council is the same, these last 3 years, really dealing with government and really seeing the changes that are happening to our business structures, it's clear that small businesses are the reservoir for the government to keep taking funds, money, and resources out of. They think we're an endless well of resources there. So every time they need some kind of revenue or some kind of change, it always falls onto the small business owner. I'm not sure if you've noticed that, but it is a very clear trend. And the more we bear, the more we can bear, the more that they'll keep doing that. So I think we really need to show the strong unity, really stand up for what we believe in, and start talking about our rights as small businesses, because let's face it, if you don't have a business, if you're a sole trader, you're still a business, right? So you're still operating your own thing, and we really need to get stronger in that area. Okay, training and education, lots of work with our partners, our training partners. We do a lot of work with teams. I just had a meeting last week with TAFE again about what we can do to enhance our student experience, help our teachers, really inform them of what our industry needs. And that means that we need the feedback from you, our members, to be able to give that to our education providers to help guide them in the right direction, and help assist them in helping their students to become job ready, because what we're finding is still we're getting people coming out of schools that, we don't expect them to be completely job ready, but having to retrain from the start is one thing that I keep hearing from business owners over and over again. Hopefully our work with SACSA in a few years will pay off. But right now, what we can do is give our direct feedback to education providers so that they can immediately start working on the areas that we need them to work on. Okay, so let's move on to the occupations review. I want to give you an update on what's happening. So if you don't know about ANSCO and occupations review, our occupations, so the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, is the body that classifies all of our occupations. If you are not listed there as an occupation, you basically don't exist to government. So what was listed for us was beauty therapist under a skill level 3, which is a beautician, basically. So the government knew that beauticians existed. They didn't know that a diploma of beauty therapy, technically, or a dermal therapist or a dermal clinician or a cosmetic nurse really existed. This is government, this is not education. So if you talk to them back in, the COVID days, they would have just called us beauty parlors, because when they looked at the ANSCO list, they saw beautician there. That's all they saw. So that's what they thought we were. That's changing, and we have given recommendations to classify our occupations correctly. How we did this is we really consulted with government, with our industry. We not just had this survey, but we have been consulting with our industry for a long time, but we finally put it together in a survey. We had 703 respondents. The 703 respondents is huge, because honestly, a survey of this type doesn't really get many respondents. If you can just imagine, ANSCO themselves only got about 300 respondents to their direct survey or their direct submissions. They only got about 300 submissions. So us getting 700 was actually astonishing. Largely, all of the people that responded were in agreement with the need for 4 separate occupation categories. So people were thinking, yeah, we actually need this many occupation categories. And the occupation categories were these: beauty services. Oops, I think I've lost my share. Sorry. Where are we? Can you all see that? Is it back? I think it's back. It was beauty services. So that's the first category at a skill level 3, which is a certificate. It was beauty therapy at a diploma at a skill level 2. Dermal therapy, so dermal therapist, a dermal clinician, and cosmetic nurse. There's actually 5 categories, but the 4 within, because cosmetic nursing is obviously, medical aesthetic and medical. There was 4 categories. Actually, what's happened is good news. What the ABS have told us already is that dermal clinician and cosmetic nurse has been accepted for classification. They have moved to the health services sector. So they are going to be not part of personal services anymore. They still will be part of our industry, but classified under health services, so under a specialization. So that's good news. Cosmetic nurses are going to be able to click cosmetic nurse as an occupation, and same with dermal clinician under the correct sector. So what we're left with in personal services is beauty services, which is a beautician, a beauty therapist, and a dermal therapist, which are all certs and diplomas. So let's have a look at what that looks like. Oops, here we go. You probably can't see this, so I might stop my share and start the actual, this one. I think you'd probably be able to see that a little bit better. This is literally what we have submitted to the ABS as part of our submission. So it was, as I said, beautician, beauty services consultant, beauty therapist or advanced beauty therapist, and dermal therapist. Those are the occupations. So there's 3 occupations within our sector is what we've proposed. The larger number of people, and I'm talking, only a small % of people wanted more categories. So they wanted beautician and beauty consultant, Cert 3 and Cert 4, to be separated into 2 different occupations. But the ABS won't accept that. Right now they're only accepting 2. We're pushing for 3. So after a lot of review and consultation with our education committee, so we took all that feedback that we got, our self-regulation committee, and we brought it to the self-regulation committee, and together we nutted out what this should look like and what our occupations should actually look like. So this has been a complete collaboration. It's not ABIC that has put this forward. It is in collaboration with so many different people, and also with the Australian Society of General Clinicians as well. They are in agreement with this. This has been published on our website, so if you want to have a real deep look at this, this will actually inform also our education platforms as well. So it's a very important initiative. We are going to find out what the answer is going to be in December. So in December, the ABS is going to release their classifications. If we don't agree, at that point, we're going to basically submit a counter argument and keep going with the appeal. So I don't think this story ends there if we don't really get what we want. I think we can keep going with trying to establish the correct categories for our industry. But again, the more voices, the more chance we're going to get at getting this right. So the Self-Regulation Committee was pivotal in making the final recommendations based on all of the feedback. They were incredible. We got it done, and we submitted on time. So that meeting that was held to do that was on the 4th of September. Our next meeting for the Self-Regulation Committee is actually on the 13th of November. So coming up very soon. If you are interested in becoming a part of the Self-Regulation Committee, please apply. You can go to the abic.org.au, go to the hamburger menu, find Self-Regulation Committee. There's an application form there that you can sign up. We have also locked in dates for the upcoming meetings as well. Okay, so that's it for the ANSCO review. Off to Safe Skin certification, just an update on what we are doing there. So after the long beta testing mid-year, this year we launched our program and it's going really well. We're getting some amazing feedback from the people that are going through the Safe Skin program. We've got a lot of people working through it as it is. We've actually simplified the whole process. So if you're interested, you don't have to worry. It's not a cumbersome, extremely long program, and we help you all the way through it. If you're interested in becoming Safe Skin certified, the advantages are that you can stand out as a certified professional or clinic adhering to benchmark standards in our industry in a certification process like no other has been seen. This actually is going to serve the platform as the platform for self-regulation in our industry going forward as well. So it's great if you get in early and become Safe Skin certified so that you know that you are adhering to the highest standards. We also launched Safe Skin Supplier. A few suppliers have already started taking part in this program. If you're a supplier out there and you're interested in becoming a Safe Skin supplier, please reach out to us. You can do this for your partners and for your clinics. You can give them the gift of Safe Skin certification for your top clinics, the ones that have been loyal to you, or you can be a conduit to supply them this particular certification at a reduced cost through your supplier membership as well. So it's a great initiative. 2 studies we're taking part of, and then we will stop for any questions. We'd love you to be part. So we're getting involved in the industry in so many ways. One of them is a study. Remember, I was telling you earlier on that our industry is going to see some changes in regulation. This is inevitable. It is not something that, you know, we've been talking about it for years and years. The attention has been garnered on our industry now, and there are processes in place to work through this. A few universities are conducting studies. One of them is Monash University. This particular study is to find out the effects of energy-based devices on cosmetic treatments. It is not initiated by ABIC. So a lot of people are starting to think that we're the ones that are initiating all of these changes. We are simply trying to get ahead of and be a representative voice for our industry so that our industry doesn't get left behind and we don't have a contributing voice when these things do happen. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game, and we're working with any partners out there that are focusing on regulation, as well as then preempting this through our education and regulation committees. So this particular study is important because it is going to inform and or may inform guidelines and regulations going forward. They are partnering with ARPANSA as well. So my request and our request as ABIC is to please get involved in these studies, because if you don't have that voice, you're going to be the squeakiest wheel is going to, you know, get the oil. And usually the squeakiest wheels are the ones that haven't had great experiences. So if I haven't got a great experience with laser, I'm going to come forward and be part of this study, and my voice is going to be really, really loud. But if I've had a great experience with laser, which is like 95% of people out there, they're going to be quiet because they've got nothing to say. They're content. But if you, the happy people, don't come forward and say, no, this is great. We do need some changes in the industry and regulation, but largely, you know, they're quite safe, and beauty therapists are doing them in the correct way. And if you don't come forward, those few people that are very loud, that haven't had a great experience, are going to shape the large bulk amount of our guidelines and regulation, which is going to be a shame, not just for our business owners and practitioners, but for our clients out there who are now in the full swing after 20 years of having laser treatments all the time. They might find themselves restricted in some ways as well, of finding a practitioner, of continuing their treatments at a competitive price, and so forth. So there's a lot of considerations there. I think it's very important that you know, if you're seeing this, that you say, okay, how can I participate, or how can I find somebody to participate? This is how. It's a 5-minute online survey. It confirms your eligibility to for the study. Okay, so if you have a clinic or you've got a business, this is where you get on and you do that 5-minute survey, and then you will help us to recruit participants, which are going to be clients, your clients, on behalf of Monash, right? So you're informing eligible clients about the survey, and then directing those interested individuals to the Monash website. So they're going to be talking about their treatment. So we want, you know, a mix of happy, satisfied clients and clients with genuine feedback to help improve, you know, legislation and regulation. Basically, it's over a 3 to 6 month period. And this data they're going to use, it says to assess whether participants in the study are like a representative sample. So they need quite a few people. So we need not just 2 or 3, we need a nice chunk of people to do this. All the data is going to remain confidential. No one's going to know that you participated in this study. Your client's confidentiality will remain intact. There's an incredible person that's running it. She's wonderful. Her name's Zoe. You can contact her directly. If you miss these details, we are publishing these details. If you don't have these details, you just email us and we will introduce you to Zoe ourselves and send you through the information. So who is eligible? If you do at least one of the following: laser intense pulse light, if you have diodes, radio frequency, ultrasound, hair removal, or even promoting hair growth, so PRP and factors, growth factors for hair, skin treatments, tattoo removal, body sculpting, and also the advanced stuff like vaginal rejuvenation, you know, and things like that. If you're a medical aesthetic clinic, or you're a dermal clinic, or a beauty therapy clinic that does, you know, intense pulse light or has devices, you can participate, and please do so. You obviously need to be an Australian-based business. We are nearly finished. We're running on just on time. The last thing I want to talk to you about is another study. Now, this is extremely important because, and kind of left field a little bit. There is a study going on now about cosmeceutical skincare. Basically, there are interested parties in La Trobe and are interested parties out there that are saying, okay, you're talking to us about cosmeceutical skincare. What is the difference between skincare and cosmeceutical skincare? Do we really need to regulate cosmeceutical skincare? Is this a pharmaceutical? What is going on here? You're making, you know, the industry is making some sort of claims with regards to this. The important part about this is that cosmeceuticals are cosmetic. They are not pharmaceuticals. And there is a bit of a misunderstanding out there. Even Dr. Ray Forniati, who is conducting the study, put Botox in as a cosmeceutical. unbeknownst to her, is the Botox is a pharmaceutical and should not be included in the cosmeceutical study. So there is a bit of a misunderstanding out there. We do need participants to be able to have a loud voice here, because the last thing we want to do is over-regulate the cosmeceutical industry or start putting unrealistic expectations on what we do in this industry. Oh, whoops, sorry, I made a mistake. It's not even energy-based devices. It's cosmeceuticals. So if you want to participate in this study, just email me, stephmiller@theabic.org.au. We have released this information through our channels. We are going to keep releasing this information through EDMs and so forth. You can also apply to be part, I think, directly to Renee. We're going to release the details this week. But if you're interested, if you're a supplier, you should be interested, because this concerns you. If you're a practitioner, or a beauty therapist, you should be interested, because this concerns what you are selling. And if you're a client, then absolutely, because we don't want to limit the use of cosmeceuticals in our industry either. We are running 2 minutes ahead of time, which doesn't really leave us for much time for questions, but I wanted to myself personally thank you so much for your support. But you're really supporting yourselves as well, and making your own voice heard. And I want you to know that it's your voice that you're representing. It's your opinions. It's for your career and your industry. We're here to help you and facilitate that voice, but we're not here to speak for you. So your voices are the ones we want to carry forward. And the only way to do that is to participate in the initiatives that we're launching or participating in as well. Please know that we're here always, the Council, fighting for our industry and protecting your future. And I just want to thank Council for all the incredible work that they do and support. Without them, the Council just wouldn't be possible, because it really is a labour of love. So, and thank you for everybody for attending today.